Hey folks, Professor K here, and today we're going to be talking about transforms in InDesign and how they can really have a lot of fun with your creative work in InDesign. Let's take a look. So in our last video, we took a look at how to wrap text around a subject. And one thing I'm noticing about this subject is she's like very dynamic. Look at that direction she's got going. Let's see if we can use some of the tools we have in InDesign to play with the text and set this so that we can really play off this direction. Here, I'm going to select multiple things by holding Shift. And then when I hover over one of the corners of these things, I'm going to get this little transform tool. When you do that, you can just literally use this to rotate right on up to the same angle that she's on. And you could play around with this. You would still want it to be relatively readable, right? But look how much more dynamic and interesting this layout suddenly starts to look, and how we're playing with white space when we do this. So let's say that we increase this text up here, and then let's rotate it and see if we can get it on that same angle. There we go. We're looking for those green guidelines to help us right on over here. Now you would want to take this approach when you have the content that makes sense for it. There's some technical issues with this, like this is going to land right in the spine. That's not so great. But if we are willing to play with our white space on the page a little bit here, we could maybe use this for some really fun and dynamic layouts. For example, if everything is set on an angle like this, maybe we could begin adding some large typography for infographics or sidebar information. So here, I'm just going to try adding a text box here. I'm going to use really big type just to demonstrate this. I'm going to go black on this type. And actually, I'm going to use Rift here so that I can make this look really similar. So let's use bold and let's make it really, really big. Let's make it 72. And let's say 12% or something similar is going to be our kind of key piece here. Now, what did I just do? I just transformed this by hovering and holding Shift and Command to make it bigger. So that works not only with images, but with the text inside them too. And let's use 22 because I like that better. So here, 22%, and then let's use the same over here. And again, this is just for demonstration purposes, not really using real headings here or anything like that, real sizes. But, you know, what if we did do something like this? No, this isn't real content, but, you know, we can start playing with some interesting visual ideas and think about, okay, what kind of content might I want to find for this article? What if I wanted to include a graphic like this? Wouldn't that be such a cool idea? So if you think the grid is boring, if you think working within a template is boring and you're like, oh, I'm really bummed that I can't choose my typeface and my character styles, what I want to challenge you to do is try finding some creative ways to align things, to lay them out, to create that more dynamic feel and creative feel with those restrictions in mind. Another possibility, let's just duplicate some pages here. We'll go to Pages and duplicate Spread. Let's try one more creative idea that could make this really interesting looking. In the video below, I'm going to be using this lovely image here, and you can download it right along with me. All right, so let's say that we wanted this to be our title page. Let's go back and let's just go back to a more standard layout. Let's get this to 0 degrees here. Let's take this out for just a moment. And let's say that we wanted to have a full page photo here. Let's take our woman out of the way for the moment as well. Do a placeholder. We're going to do full bleed, so nice and big. And we'll even extend it a little bit into the next layout. This is something you can do with spreads. And now I'm just going to do Command D, and under my downloads, grab that unsplash image. And then we're going to do fill frame proportionally. Now, what I want is a little bit more space up at the top. Let's see if we can get that. Perfect. And here's my layout idea. I want to fit my text into the sky area. So how could I do that? One thing that I could do is draw out a frame like this. And let's just make sure that we are on our text layer here, just to make it really easy. Draw out our frame. And then we're going to use the pen tool to modify what that frame looks like. So here under pen tool, let's look for the delete anchor point tool. Just like Illustrator, right? We're going to delete that anchor point. And then using the direct selection tool, let's bring that over to the middle so that we start to have this space where text can live. And I'm just going to copy all and paste that right in there and check that out. Now you have a creative layout where your text is following the sky. Now, is this the best idea? You're going to have to really play with your hyphenation and justification here, because as you can see, it gets a little hard to read. But it's an interesting idea, and maybe this is a good idea for something with a larger, like maybe your title could do this sort of thing, right? And maybe that would be a good title entry point, really grabs your attention. Let's try out our header here. So this looks really interesting. What are some different ways that you could really play with what's available here and just do something interesting with it? You could even think about your layout across both spreads, right? Should this take up 3/4 of the page and be like really showing a lot? You might see that in professional magazine design, right? Just an intro paragraph over here, and then this taking up more space. Let's do fill proportionally for that. And just notice how this is affecting what the overall layout looks like. Here, maybe you could use this to pull people in. You might take out the columns here and then continue on the next page with a different set of columns. There's so much you can do here, right? So sometimes by having these restrictions, what you'll find is that, and I'm just going to do 255, 255, 255. I happen to know the RGB colors for white, right? How can you extend this layout and play with your layout across multiple pages? Even maybe consider, what could you do with this frame? Using the direct select tool, maybe you could grab this bottom piece here and do that sort of thing. That's an option too. So just keep thinking and keep exploring these different options. Not all of them are going to work, but I want you to try some different stuff with these layouts. Yes, stick with the template, but see how far you can take it while still keeping it readable. I'm curious to see where you end up at. I'll see you later.